Me, the pastel, the paper and the easel are all one, and that's the reason I was born.
You're listening to Creative Rebels, the podcast for creatives. Today's guest, we're so lucky to have Mackenzie Thorpe on the show today. He is a world-renowned artist, and I think when you look at his success, it would be very easy to think, oh, this is someone who must have been handed lots of opportunities. And when you listen to his story, because he's so humble, now that I've said it, you'll be on the lookout for it. But because he's so humble, it's quite difficult to see, like, this is the result of a relentless pursuit of art was inside him. He had to get it out. He only knows one thing. He only knows that he is on this planet to make art. He's here to produce and to put it out, and treats it very much like a job. It's so interesting. I think you'll get a lot from this. Your process, maybe you've overcomplicated the way you think about going about your work. Maybe you need to just make, to just produce, to just play. I think that's the thing about Mackenzie's work. He's like, it's so playful, and when he talks about it, sometimes he talks about it almost like flowing out of him, and he starts with a blank sheet and he doesn't know what's going to happen to that blank sheet. And for me, I can't relate to that. Like, I can't work like that. I could work like that, but that's not my process. But maybe I need to try that. Maybe I need to free myself up and stop worrying about so much about what the final product is going to look like, and just immerse myself more in just the creation. Because I think that's something that he does really well. He is obviously so joyful and passionate about his work. And it's just lovely. It's just a joy. One of my favorite all-time episodes. I would put it up there. It's got to be top 3. So what more can I say? Let's listen to the episode. Mackenzie Thorpe, Creative Rebels. Let's go. Hi, Mackenzie.
Hi.
Thank you for coming down from sunny Brighton.
All right. It's all right.
You prefer doing interviews in person?
Yeah. At least there's somebody in front of me.
Yeah.
And asking questions spontaneously.
Yeah.
So it's more exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think you get a better connection with someone once you've actually met them. I think it's great to have the Zooms and all of the online stuff. It's really convenient. The thing that I like for it the most is, I think a good conversation is not I speak and then you speak. You interrupt each other, and you can tell by people's physical cues, like, oh, they're about to jump in. We lose that totally online.
Totally. I agree with you. I keep on being told, quiet, let them speak. In meetings or Skypes, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, we will.
Yeah.
I get excited.
Yeah.
And to stand in front of a camera looking at the camera, yeah. Is there anybody out there? Is it like, it's just a con?
Yeah.
Am I standing in a box just talking to myself? I don't know.
Do you ever think about that? Because you make a lot of videos for the internet, and it's really just you and the red light in front of you.
Yeah, I do, because the number one thing that always gets me, my studio is my studio. It's my temple, my church. And only I go there to draw and to talk and to listen to music and to find my place. And then somebody else is like, what's that in the back corner over there? And I'm thinking like, yeah, what is in the back corner? I'm thinking what they're looking at. And overall, am I worthy to do this? And so, like, you might be just talking a load of rubbish. And I don't believe it's rubbish.
Yeah.
From my experiences and things, but
I think it's always really interesting to hear someone who's got like an established career and they've been doing this for years and years, and that they still have those questions that, am I a person that anyone should pay attention to?
Yeah, what validates me? When I got called up to do the BBC on a Saturdays and Sundays, as a person just commenting on the newspapers. And I thought, I can't do this. What listen to me for, right? And Owen said, our son who works with us, he said, they're validating, they're thinking you've got something to say.
Yeah.
So you should stand up and say it.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it like that.
I was talking to someone recently about living a remarkable life. What a beautiful thing to do, to live a remarkable life, to have all of these rich experiences. But I think what a lot of creatives do is feel like they're not worthy to live that remarkable life. Like if everyone else is working at Tesco's or down the shipyard or in these various places, what gives me the right to be able to have my temple, my church, my studio, my place where I can be truly me? Because most people don't have that. And I think you get this sort of sense of what makes me worthy to be the artist.
Yeah, totally. Because, yeah, you're right. All the people I work with in the shipyards and the foundries, they're all still walking around and having their lives, pensioners and all like me. But, yeah, welcome. I used to pray. I wish I was a bricklayer. I wish I was an electrician. Then I wouldn't have to have all these dreams about, oh, don't do this, I'll draw this. And that's before I went to our college. I was in the shipyards and coming down a gangplank. You know, thousands of men. And the sun was coming over the dock clock on the River Tees at tea time. And oh, look at that. Puff. Right in my head. Yeah, puff. Right? Because that's the people I grew up with.
Yeah, yeah.
I love them to death. One thing about being an artist is the isolation, because I do miss camaraderie.
Yes, yeah.
I've never laughed so much in my life as walking around, working with a gang of lads in the shipyard.
Yeah.
Even the most gruesome thing you ought to laugh at, you know. And I was sitting on a pipe talking to Mick, and the guy's painting the pipe yellow. And he said, get up, lads, start painting the pipe. So we stood up and he painted the pipe yellow and we sat down and carried on the conversation. Like, it's a crazy world, right? And I miss that. That's why I draw it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I really, really miss that, being a part of a group.
Yeah. I it's very interesting what you said about getting the punch in the head for appreciating beauty. And I met someone recently. I was lucky enough to do a job for MTV, and I was backstage there. And at the end of the event, we're packing down, and around you, you've got all of the crew that are de-rigging everything, and very working class lads. And one of them came over to me and had a little chat with me, and he very gingerly showed me this photo on his phone of he'd been doing snow spray art. So, you know, when you spray on the windows and you carve away.
Yeah.
He'd been doing those. These absolute, because it was November and he'd just sort of been doing it for Christmas. These beautiful, beautiful images, and he showed them to me. And he was like, what do you think? He was really sort of seeking is this shit or is it good? And I was like, dude, this is incredible. This is really incredible, really beautiful stuff. And he said, all of my mates take the piss out of me for it. And I think there's something, and I especially see it in sort of in working class communities, of that. This is the path that we're all on, and you can't deviate it. And if you do, we're going to bring you back into the line. Either we're going to take the piss out of you, or we're going to smack you around the head. That's a really difficult thing to. I mean, how did you overcome that and go? Because obviously you're getting all this resistance. How do you listen to that voice inside you that is actually like, but what I want to be doing is something else?
Circumstances take over. I kept very stum about going into our college, going to ask for an interview. I didn't tell my family, anybody, because I totally 100% expected to be knocked back. So I felt that feeling for a long time. And they gave me an application form and I filled it in and I got an interview and I got in. And I rushed to the pub and I said, I'm going to our college. Like this. Don't insult our intelligence. That's what one guy said. And we used to go on trips, you know, like a weekend bender, and there were several cars and we'd all go somewhere.
Yeah.
And they cut all the photographs were up in the boys' corner and they cut me out the photographs.
Really?
So I couldn't go back like that. So I had to find my own route.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I left home and moved in with another student in a flat.
Yeah.
And we became Gang of Van Gogh and just got on with it.
So you bonded together over the love of Van Gogh?
That's what everybody started calling us, because we were both living
Yeah.
together and painting until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Or not even going to bed. And we'd be going around on the landscape painting together, you know. Middlesbrough College wasn't for art. It was for professions. So ceramics, jewellery making, toy building, all crafts.
Yeah.
So you can get a job, right? Otherwise, what's the point? Well, I want to be a painter. You can't be a painter. You know, you've got to get a proper job like everybody else. So they started calling us that. What I used to do was get to college at 6 o'clock in the morning, because we had fixed lessons. And so you'd make the toys or whatever you had to do. You were doing that subject, printing, whatever. And the caretaker and the cleaners would let me in, and I'd paint pictures. Then at 9 o'clock, I'd do my lessons. Might be still life or whatever. Right? And then when everybody had gone home at 7 o'clock, I could stay till 9 o'clock with the cleaners and the caretaker. And then it got to the point where I remember going one morning and they bought me breakfast, they made sandwiches for me.
Oh.
Right? And then I went in on the Easter period, and I went in all over Christmas.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any time off our college for my second year. And when it come to getting into the third year, the principal said to me, you can't come back to this college because you want to be a painter, and we don't do that. It's an art college, but we don't do that. I says, what shall I do then? And he says, I recommend you should go and sleep outside the slate or something and try knocking at the door and see what happens. My art teacher, Tom Wall, had a different idea. He wrote to a friend of his at the Byam Shaw School of Art. He was like the head tutor. They went to college together at the Slade, and said, would you see this guy? And this is serious. This is a true story. All my tourist stories are true. I don't know why I'm trying to validate that. So Tom says to me, right, there's a third year trip to London to the V&A. Getting a train down there, and we're staying in the Rembrandt Hotel. Be at the station next week. So I got to the station with my little bag, and he smuggled me on the train. I actually did sit in the toilet when the ticket collector came along. This is 1978, 79. And I slept in the bath in the hotel, right? I had my interview at the Byam Shaw. I showed them my work, discussed it, and they said, you're in. And I said, all right, great. Like this. And he said, hang on. We normally say, we'll give you a call, right? Oh, it's nice work, we'll call you.
Yeah.
He said, I don't remember ever saying to a person, you're in. And I said, well, that's really good, that's fine, go on. And I just walked out. Nothing, I didn't plan anything, nothing fazed me like that.
Yeah.
And then when about a month after we got back, I was on the front of the local newspaper that I'd got into the Byam Shaw. Right? And the council got together, and Tom took the council out for a drink, and they got me a grant. Right? And I had to do for every year, it was £99 a year to go to our college. And my mum and dad paid the first £99.
Oh, bless them.
Tom got me a job painting a mural of pop stars, the Beatles, David Bowie, on the stage in a workman's club. I got 300 quid. I paid my mum back.
Brilliant.
Right? To pay for the second year was another £99.
Yeah.
So I went to see the registrar, and he says, you're in. I didn't have to pay.
Wow.
People just helped me all along the way.
Why do you think that was?
Is it because they saw the desperation in me. I was painting one night when there's nobody there, and I didn't know Tom and Ken, my tutors, were in the college. And I thought the easel was falling over, and it wasn't the easel, it was me. Because I don't remember when I'd eaten before then.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 days I hadn't eaten.
Oh my God.
And they found me, and I was just crying. And I said, what's the matter? What's the matter? He used to call me Mac then. What's the matter, Mac? And I said, I just want to be an artist, Tom. I just want to be an artist. Right? And that's when he sent the letter off. And it all started to roll like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I've got along.
When you were doing these early mornings and these late nights, were any other students doing that?
No,
it was just you.
no. I couldn't believe it. You know, what they said to me in the interview was, you can't come to our college because you can't spell properly, you can't write properly, and everybody else is 17. You're coming up to 21 next month, and you know they've all got O levels and A levels. You haven't. I said, all right, geez. I was on my way out, and he just said, "I'll get your work out. I'll have a look at it." I actually said, "I'll give you a critique." And I thought I was going to come back and hit me on the head or something. I didn't know what a critique was. Right? He came back with his cup of tea, and I had completely covered, twice the size of this room. I had over 500 paintings, right? In the 2 years before I got to this point. And he said, hang on a minute. He walked out, he came back with Tom. And he was the head of department. He said, I don't care if he comes from Mars, he's in. And I didn't understand why all these kids didn't do that.
Yeah.
Why didn't they follow up? Why did they have to take tea breaks? Why did they go off on sick?
Yeah.
But I had that work ethic. I've been working since I was 15.
Yeah.
So 5 years I've been working on the dole and looking after myself because there's nobody there to look after you.
Yeah.
You got to pay your mum rent, right? Or you don't get benefits.
Yeah.
So I guess I was joining in with everybody. I was laughing and going to all the parties, but they didn't have that work ethic. And they didn't realise just how lucky they are to be, if they become an artist. They're a dream. But I don't think it was for a lot of them. They were told they were good at drawing, so they tried.
That's it, isn't it? It's like I mentioned earlier about the living the remarkable life. You can, that's only given to you if you earn it. And that I get very annoyed with people who talk about you're so gifted or you're so talented. I can see by your face there that winds you up as well.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's like being a plasterer or a bricklayer.
Yeah.
I know I worked it out, and I'd stopped my, what am I doing this for? It was only a few years ago. Pastel can't walk across the floor and draw on paper on its own. So me, the pastel, the paper and the easel are all one. And that's the reason I was born. The paper can't do it on its own. We work in a collaboration. And I go in the morning, it's a white piece of paper, the music's on, and at the end of the day, it's a picture. And I turn around and I go, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like that, right? And they'll say to me, it's a job. Like a surgeon or a road sweeper. It's a job. And that's how I earn my living. That's all it is. It's not these gifts and things.
Yeah,
no.
100% agreed.
And I'm not a genius, and I'm not a great artist. I'm just me.
That's interesting. There's many people who would probably disagree on that and say that you are a great artist. What makes you think that you're not a great artist?
Because I know I'm not. I look at some paintings and I think, how the hell did they do that? The first time I saw Rothko, what's the point in going to college? Why are you painting anymore? He's just done everything, right? And he did it in one paintbrush,
Yeah.
right? He's already done the Quran and the Bible on one canvas.
Yeah.
You don't stand a chance. I suppose over the years, I've taught myself, nobody can do what Mackenzie Thorpe does, only Mackenzie Thorpe.
Yeah.
Right? So there was a very important politician said to me once, when I look in the mirror in the morning, Mackenzie, said, do I go, oh, look, it's me. Right? I'm great. He said, no, you don't. And so when I asked him the question, how do you get by when it comes to this thing? The egos and all the rest of it. He says, why don't you just say, thank you very much. That's very kind. And I walk on.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie Thorpe hasn't changed. I'm still that guy on a gangplank. and I ain't going to change.
Yeah.
That's how I survive. If I had all the rest of the crap. And I remember once going down Fifth Avenue to my exhibition in a white limousine. And I thought, and I was about 35. I thought if I was 21, God knows what I'd be doing, right? I'd be like, some pop band,
Yeah.
and I got over that, and I had 2 kids and a wife. So I got in at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your work about?
You're the only person in the world that's asked me that. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I only know I've got to do it. It provides me with a soapbox that I can stand on and ask people questions. Why do we do this? Why are we doing this to children? Why do we want to do that? Why do you feel like that about yourself? And I was ill a few years ago, and I once again taught myself, I'm taking love round the world. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
In a dream, in my illness, a voice said, I was sitting on the end of a jetty, and the voice said, you can jump off, or you've only got 2 choices. You can walk back and start all over again, because you've got a job to do and it hasn't finished yet. And believe you me, you're going to be here again soon. So make your choice. And so, that's what I'll do then. And I've lived in America, and I've been going to America since the 90s, and Japan, Australia, everywhere like that in my work. But I never drew a skyscraper. And so I planned, right. So the first time I did it was last year. I went to New Orleans, and I've been going on the bayou for years, right? I'm going to paint love in the bayou. The people know what that is. It's their turf,
Yeah.
right? So, and you don't go around New Orleans and the French Quarter and see pictures of a swamp.
Yeah.
You don't. It's all jazz instruments or something. And so that's what I did. And then I'm going back to Japan. This year will be my 26th trip, I think. And now I'm getting the collection together, just started, drawing Japan scenery that I know, with this boy who doesn't have a face, who has nothing, but has the biggest heart in the world, and he's pulling it. And he's pulling in hope that somebody will find it. Somebody will bring it. When there's a couple on the jetty, and the jetty's broken down, but somehow they got together, and their love and their life had family. 45 years or 46 years that we've been married. What do you do when you come to the end of the jetty and you've got all this love and your grandkids are grown up and it's all done? You give it away in the hope that somebody just like you, when you were 18, walking around the streets in Middlesbrough, not knowing what to do, goes, what's that? Oh, shit. Oh, well, I'll keep that. Right? And finds love. I was really out of my mind when I was younger, like that. And I walked into a bar, and I met my wife that night. Changed on a dime. Right? And I want people to come into the gallery and they start crying. That's my father. I remember when he would do this. Oh, yeah, that's me as a kid. I can see me with, with granddad. And I didn't believe them people, but I didn't know them people existed. Like I did, when my father died, I did a sculpture, and I'm running behind him, and he's got big footprints in the snow. And I realised after all these years that I thought, he turned that Shakespeare rubbish off. Can't understand what he's saying. What are you playing that music for? Classical music. Play Elvis Presley, right? All them things. I thought he was some kind of heathen, And then you realise, actually, I'll never fill his footsteps. We got fed every night.
Yeah.
you know. He did everything he could do to keep us together. 7 kids. And he did a great job. And it was hard for him to do. Some of it he didn't understand. And then the first show, all these men with grey hair. Yeah, he was a tough beggar, but like, I love him to bits. He's my hero. And then I'd go somewhere else in another country, and they'd come up and say the same thing.
Yeah. It's so interesting how people paint their own meanings onto your work, isn't it? I've always been fascinated by that. That I think when I make work, a lot of times I am processing my place in the world through making the work. And sometimes you can make something that's deeply personal to you, but then you put it out into the world and people take something completely different than what you intended it to.
Or they get it right on their head.
Yes, yeah.
And that really surprises me. How did you know? Because I've been there. All right.
Yeah.
You're part of the club.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a club, isn't it? It's a really beautiful way of thinking of it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's just a collection of human experience, isn't it? And we're a lot more similar than we are different, really.
Oh, I think so. And the experiences of going to different countries. And I think, you're very clever, aren't you, the way you thought of that? You know, I was at a big exhibition and there was hundreds of people there and television, everything in Japan, in Yokohama. And I've got to go. And my agents were going, come on, the car's waiting. We've got to go. We've got to go. And everybody's like, well, Mackenzie Thorpe. They want a photograph, want this. And I said, I'm sorry, I've got to go to this guy. And this guy said, Mackenzie-san, your watch not same as my watch. You clever man. It was so funny.
Yeah.
I think, like, maybe the Japanese don't have humour. You know, they sit there until they're going to do something.
Yeah.
And the humour is massive.
Massive.
Like everywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, it does nothing change. And sorrow is sorrow. And happiness is happiness.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. And love is the most powerful thing ever.
You mentioned the boy with no face. That's been a motif of yours for years. Where did the idea come from?
As childhood, I used to think I didn't have one. And I didn't deserve one. And when I first started doing it in the 1990s, he didn't have a shadow. And I give him a shadow. But also, artistically thinking, if I give him brown eyes, he can't be this kid because he's got blue eyes.
Right.
Right? If he's got blonde hair, he can't be a kid with brown hair.
Yeah.
So it's everybody. So I don't know, is it a girl or a boy? Everybody comes in and has their own opinion.
Yeah.
You know, some people call him a boy, some people call him a girl.
Yeah.
And it could be French, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I stuck to it, that motif. It's so I'm talking to everybody. I made it in stainless steel because the coat belonged to my uncle and it was handed down. Lots of where we used to live was clothes handed down. And my grandmother always used to say, don't get too big for your shoes, right? Especially when I went to our college. Don't get too big for your boots, right? And that's why he's got these big shoes on, so he's grounded all the time. And if you just like look in this face, you see everything, every human thing. How do I convey that to people in the gallery? Well, this is my Uncle Lawrence's coat, and he was the best fighter. He's a knight. So I'll build it out of steel, like a suit of armour. And I'll polish it to the polish perfect. And then I'll say to the people after I've talked, look in the face, what do you see? And they go, ourselves. Exactly. Doesn't matter who you are, what kind of life you're living. You're this kid. Just don't forget about it. When you used to run around the supermarket playing, right? And now you don't anymore? Come on, John, what's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Right? It's gone. It's the old Mary story. And I've proved it so many times that it is real. 3-year-old kids, Mary, draw me a shape. right? Paint on the canvas. What's that, Mary? That's me mum, that's me dad, that's the house, that's the dog. And she'll
Yeah.
talk forever.
Yeah.
And when she's 13, it happens all the time, no matter what classroom in what part of the world. Say to the class, draw me a shape. And about 5 minutes later, somebody will be brave enough to go, yeah? What shape shall I draw? Shall I draw it with pencil or paint?
Yeah.
Where shall I draw it? And all the lesson, I've flew 2,000, 8,000 miles to do this, and it's only for 1 hour. I'm not coming back, right? Come on, you get working. And then Mary's 36 and she's got 2 kids. And there's problems in her life. Mary draws a picture, but I can't draw.
And
You lose. Why do people lose it?
Why do you think that they do? Is it because they're scared of getting the wrong answer?
There's that, but I think it's the problems and the prejudice that is put on children, and they just stop because they've had enough.
Yeah.
And they believe it. The Picasso said, I wish I could draw like a child. It wasn't that he wanted to do child pin figures or something. He wanted to draw without prejudice.
Yeah.
No money involved. There's no ego involved. There's no reality involved. It's just making a mark for the sake of making a mark and see where it goes. It's not yours. It just exists. You've created it. So that's when I started doing the children with the big head. How do I explain this to people? So I worked for 7 years in London with kids from 5 till 12-year-old. I was employed by Hammersmith and Fulham as an artist to work in the community. And I saw it happening all the time. Let's do some drawing. Oh, he can't draw, he never did. Have some peas. Oh, no, he doesn't like peas. Right? Whatever it was. And so I thought, every child is born with a big head. Every one of them. They haven't got any beliefs, anything.
Yeah.
They've just got this big head. They're not sexist, racist, homophobic, German, French, Democrat, liberal.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time they're 50, their head's like this because they've told everybody. Somebody's told them.
Yeah.
Don't play with him, he's got green hair. All these little prejudices build up. Oh, so when Mary's 35, I was never any good at that.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I often
it's
say
just
that
destroying.
the negative voice, as the creative, the negative voice that you hear isn't your voice. It's the voices that over the years you've heard over and over again.
100%. 100%. I remember the nuns at school, the priests saying it's not right, you should be drawing all, that's all you're going to do. God won't let you go to heaven if you do that. All these little things that build up. And I'm 68 years old and I still hear these things. So I'm so fragile when in the morning when I walk in the studio. But I believe 100 million%, whatever I do today is going to be a load of crap. Because I can't do it. You can't draw. It's an illusion.
Yeah.
That fear thing, whatever it is, that the bubble's going to burst. And it's all because of that. And when things are said to you that are vulnerable, when you're as old as the 7 kids, you have a big responsibility. I was cooking breakfast and all that sort of stuff when I was only a kid. And you don't have holidays, you don't have any luxuries. Don't have a car or anything like that. And only 2.5 bedroomed house, so, that's how you live. But everybody lived like that where I come from. But it makes you fragile because you take some knocks. And so when somebody you look up to goes like that, it really hurts and it stays in you. I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and it was either you or your partner said, I wish we were talking to a first-year art student and compared him with a third-year art student and say, like, when in 3 years' time, you will have this knowledge. You can be as good as them people you look up to.
Yeah.
I wish when I was 10 years old, somebody came in he said, Mackenzie, just keep on drawing. You won't have a gas bill, you'll have a house, you'll get married and have kids. Everything will be fine. You'll have holidays you could have dreamed of. Just keep on drawing and ignore everything else in the world. And you would have went, okay. Instead, I saw Van Gogh, Manelli's movie, when I was 14, and I said, that's me.
Yeah.
I recognised myself on the telly. And that gave me a spur.
Yeah, I mean, I really think this whole show is just my desire to go back in time and speak to young me, because that was 100%. And like you said, when you walk into the studio and every morning and you completely question yourself again every single day, I'm exactly the same. And I suppose the work ethic is the thing of, you stand in the studio, you go, well, maybe I'm not who everyone thinks I am, but it's just me and a blank canvas or a brand new piece of clay, and I'm just gonna
embrace it.
I'm at work today, so
embrace it.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. They don't even know you're there. And the people you're going to meet at the exhibition, you don't even know they've been born. And it's the world coming. You know, I said to Susan when we were courting, a long time ago, do camels walk across the desert and discuss, oh, look at that star, isn't that pretty? You know, I don't think so, but humans do.
Yeah.
We want to know what's beyond Pluto. Why have we got that ability then?
Yeah.
How come you can ask that question when you don't know the answer? Because you've got that question because you exist to try and find the answer. And every life force that goes on is getting closer to it and closer to it and closer to it. So the platform art gives me is I can talk like this to politicians, educationalists, all over, whatever. And it's for the next generation. It's for that generation.
Yeah.
Fields of love, field hearts everywhere. The kids can come to and pick it up like this, walk with it, use it, and then they die. And there's the heart. And somebody else comes along, picks it up, does the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that's my voice in the wilderness, if you like.
You're going to get me quite emotional. I think that's, I mean, what a beautiful way to look at life. I think that it's, I think if we could get maybe some of these politicians and decision makers to maybe do some drawings, you think of what a different place the world could be. I just think,
once you break down all the walls, peel the onion,
to
find out where's the kid of Sir Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Because he's locked away a long way somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you've paid your rent and you're fulfilled enough creatively and you're making your work, then really once you've achieved those sort of life milestones, all that's left is giving back, isn't it? That's all we have.
Yeah. Well, I was asked when I went to the BAM show, the tutor said to me, there's three things people paying for: finance, ego, or to give something back. Right?
I tick all three of those
and
boxes,
I had to pick one.
I can't pick one.
I couldn't, so I just picked the first one.
Yeah.
Right? I realise now it's for all of them.
Yes.
So when you're young, the only way you're going to survive is to get some money.
Yeah.
You said on that podcast I had to do some really crappy jobs, but I did them to get some money. So then you can do the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's a job you've got to don't want to do it. You do it the best you can, but you know your reward is going to come later. Get that 300 quid like I did, painting David Bowie, and then go and buy some materials, right? And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I think it's also, when you're younger, just that one. Then you're paying because I'm a great artist. You know, I drive around in a limousine and thousands of people take photographs of me. There you go, got that one. I'm 68, I'm not going up the hill anymore, I'm going down the hill, right? So now I'm painting to leave things back.
Yeah.
It's for my great, 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 great grandchildren.
Yeah.
Right? And they might remember ego. Oh, your great-great-great-great-granddad, he was an artist.
Yeah.
Fine. Then I've lived a good life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A friend of mine, friend of the show, she'd done a couple of podcasts with us. Poppy Chancellor, passed away about just over a year ago now, and she was 36 when she died. And really, all I have now is a couple of amazing episodes, and memories of her. But what we have is her work. And I always say to artists that even if you're sort of prolifically producing like you have throughout your career, and you're making as much as you can, everything is still a limited edition. I mean, if you look at someone like Keith Haring, he was just making, and now to buy a Keith Haring is like thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, because there's not enough. Even if you made as many pieces as you were physically able for every day that you're alive, they're all still limited editions, because there's a finite amount that you can create. And I look at Poppy's beautiful work that she left behind, and it's such a legacy. And a lot of the work that she made was about grief. And I found myself in a really strange position of processing the grief that I was feeling through her, through the work that she'd left behind, these beautiful, intricate paper cuts about losing people, which was just such a strange place to be in. But I'm just so glad that she left that work behind, and that we have that. That's like her legacy. And I just think 36 is so young, like how much life she had left to live. But that's the thing, isn't it? That life is not certain, and none of us know.
No, she didn't have any more to live.
Yeah, she didn't have any more. And so so I'm so glad that she was as busy as she was in the time that she was alive. Yeah, because we've got these beautiful things to remember her for.
Tom rang me up one day and said, I've been doing shows at the St. Martin in the Fields. And he rang me up and he said, would you do an exhibition with me? My guru asked if I would show with him, right? And you can imagine what that could be like. And
good for the ego.
yeah, it was good for the ego, all right. I love this guy. One night, it was really heavy rain. I'll go back to that story. Really, really heavy rain. And he said, do you want a pint, Mac? And there's a pub just near the college. So I thought, all right, Tom. I felt he's asking me up for a pint.
Yeah.
And so I'm sat there, really chucking it down. And I went to the toilet and I got my Stanley knife out of my bag. All right. And cut my shoe. And I said, oh, my feet are wet. So he said, oh, come round, stay at our house. Right. And he played Elgar. I had never heard Elgar. Only listened to Roxy music and stuff like that. And then he showed me paintings by Millet and all these kind of things. Right. So he became a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I could talk to him about art. The only person in the whole world I could talk to about art. So he asked me to do an exhibition. And we did the exhibition. And about 6 weeks later, he died.
Wow.
He was getting ready to retire, wanted to put his foot back in the business again.
Yeah.
As an artist, not a teacher. And it happened. So we don't know, so you better get a move on.
Yeah.
And that's what I rant around about a lot all the time, because I think people are too lazy and they think that they've got too much and the perspective's a bit warped, Objects don't give you all the things you need.
That's very true.
It's more about love and being in touch with yourself and the rest of it. You should be in touch with grass, leaves, the sun, every object around you, every living thing is there 24/7. And you're here for a reason. If you weren't here, there would be a big chunk missing out of the world. Right? Because this big chunk should only be growing and growing. It's massive. We're still talking about men in caves painting on walls. They still exist. They haven't gone.
Yeah.
And so that legacy there has to be a reason for it. For us people to be grounded and be humble for what you've got. And if you have got doesn't matter what your ability. You could be a window cleaner, but if you can do the best windows in the world, great, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, kids coming to me, I want to be a mechanic. I've ever thought about going in the Formula One. You know, they've got mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have these dreams because they're not giving them. But then the same reflecting on that is society is changing so much. It's easier to be an artist because parents will take a notice of you, right? Dad, I want to be an artist. Oh, yes, dear, you're a great drawer. Your teacher said you're a good drawer, right? And I want to be a singer. Well, go on X Factor. So you can have impossible dreams, right? Or maybe impossible dreams. And be taken notice of and be nurtured. And then there's a lot of places where now that will happen and you'll get a lot of broken hearts. You know, to sustain it is a different thing.
Yeah.
And I think people are after the wealth and the objects more than the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes wrong.
Yes. Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? I think this is probably, social media is probably a very big contributing factor to this, is sort of, yeah, seeing there's certain artists that and I'm not ashamed to admit it, there's certain artists that I look at and I do get a pang of jealousy and I think, oh, that'd be nice to go in that private jet or whatever and do this exhibition in Abu Dhabi or where. And then I have to catch myself and think, my happy place is when I'm painting in the streets and I'm interacting with passers-by and getting barked at by a dog and there's that mad energy of painting outside murals. I mean, I had a big sort of celebrity interaction recently and 2 days later I was back painting in the streets because everyone was like, oh, your life's going to change now and what are your new plans? It's like, my plans are what they've always been for the past 20 years. It's just now I've developed systems to enable me to keep on doing the thing that I love doing.
Exactly. And you find yourself, I've got over it now, but I remember once being in Tokyo and I had my own garden on top of the hotel with a kimono. So I put the kimono on and the wooden sandals like this. And I'd just come from hundreds of people, been on tour like 6 weeks, 4 weeks in Japan, going all around Japan. And I shut the door and started crying.
Really?
Because there you are on your own.
Yeah.
It's just part of the job.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm being really lucky because of being part of the job. I've met so many, many nice people. And that's what makes it really good. The people that come along and tell you their secrets or sadnesses and just have a laugh.
Yeah.
Made some really, really good friends. And social media for me, that response I get, and sometimes it's like 1 million people or something watching something, that helps my self-worth, right? Because I think they're getting the message and maybe it'll do them good. Not bragging, but maybe I'm doing it all right, because why else would they respond?
Obviously, you've had this long career, so you've seen the birth of social media. At what stage did you think this was something that you wanted to jump onto?
First, the thing I felt mostly, people would stop and go to art galleries.
Interesting.
Because they could watch it on the machine.
Yes.
And I thought, this is going to kill art, this.
Yeah.
Or you could live in New York and you could see somebody's work in Russia.
Yeah.
You don't have to go there anymore. I thought, well, this is not good. And it did change the business.
Yeah.
The business aspect of the art, it really did change that. And there's a price higher over here this day. There's wars here going on, arguments. Now, I think it's a way of life. But I'm still so old school that I can't get my head around it. So today, coming here, there's a guy running down the street and shouting, "Wow," going crazy. We sat having a cup of tea in a cafe. There's a woman facing a wall talking out loud to the wall. I've just come back from the 18th century and I think, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know? You sat on the tube and there's all these people talking. What? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I've never sat there and done that myself.
Yeah.
You know? There's only about 8 telephone numbers on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't use that. I don't work with computers when I'm drawing. I just use my hands. Right? And I don't sit and think out and work out things. I just go and do it. I don't have a stencil like you might have, or a plan. I have to sometimes when I'm doing commissions and such things. But I draw, and what I built up on being dyslexic and being stupid, the idiot, all the rest of it that I was called, is a skill. Because all I did was repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. And now for me, I was talking about Rothko earlier. It seemed like you just got one brush. See everything in the world. I've got it down to, I put the piece of paper down and I go, and that's when I start. And I don't know what's going to happen in the next breath. And I love being there. Better than anything else in the world. You have to draw this commission for this company, whatever. Okay. And money comes into it, right? Because it allows me to go,
Yes. Yeah.
right? But when I do that and I don't know what's going to happen next, it's what I've lived for. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the answers.
Yeah.
I just want to do it and see where it goes. And then I look back and go, sometimes it's like being a third person, you know. I walk into a gallery and go, shit, did I do that? You know, it looks really good, doesn't it? It does. And then I walk away and forget about it. But in the studio, I just put it on the floor. I go, you know, I don't go, the next one.
On to the next one. Yeah. Have you got a favourite medium?
Pastel.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste a second. I worked out where the table's going to be, my chair and the easel, so I don't have to walk too far that way because it'll take 2 seconds longer than if I do this, right? Because I haven't got time to, I don't want to think. And if I've got another 2 seconds, I'll think. And that's the biggest loss, right? It's the biggest thing in the way, like a big rock. And it's only going to get worse now. If I have to do something else, then I start to lose this thing, and I can't stop looking at it. I'm looking back, so I don't want to lose this connection. And if I have to wash brushes, clean tables, wait for this to dry, for Christ's sake, you know, if I do a canvas, I do 10 paintings on it, because first what I'm doing, I forgot what I was doing in the first place, and now I don't know what I'm doing now, so I'm always painting something else now, and it goes on like that, and the canvases are terrible because of it.
Have you ever tried spray paint?
Only once I did a mural in Hammersmith,
right,
in Shepherd's Bush with kids. Only once for that.
I've got some here if you want to have a little play around with it. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've used every material I can think of.
Yeah.
But pastel is so immediate, so I can do a picture a day.
Yeah.
And get on with it. And like you said, there's never enough. I do a show, it sells out. Gee, another show in 6 months, boom, get working again.
Yeah.
It's like having your finger in the dike.
Yeah.
And when you think there's a quiet time, ding, ding. Oh no. But it's. I'm very lucky, and I want to say one thing. We're all different, right? But I think to make it in the world, it's good if you've got a good companion. The companion who doesn't put you down, doesn't trip you up, always understands, always there to be a great critic. No, that's not right. They haven't had the experience of art. They haven't had art history or anything like that.
They just know what they feel.
But they know what they feel, and they can tell you what they feel because they trust you, and vice versa. I met a very, very well-famous pop star at a party, and he said to me, Mackenzie, when you get to the top, don't be on your own, because it's the loneliest place in the world,
Yeah.
right? So never get too big for your bloody boots. That's my grandma would say.
Yeah, yeah.
All them all the negative lessons are there, and all the positive ones are the same place. They all come from the same mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's made me the person that I am.
What's your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to die in love with my wife. That's it.
That's it.
That's my biggest wish.
That's beautiful. Mackenzie, it's been incredible chatting to you. I didn't look at my notes once, so you're such a natural storyteller, so I just really, really enjoyed this, and I think people will get a lot from it. Have you got any parting words of wisdom for the lost and frightened souls that might be listening?
You're never lost. You just haven't been there before, right?
Brilliant. That's a mic drop moment there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. Just start doing it. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, but it's not this. I know, because you should be doing this. Just follow that, and it'll work. And if you follow it right, if you don't tell lies when you're working, don't try and do some tricks to get a bit more, Just push that snowball. It'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And everything else in the world, the private jet, going here and doing whatever you want, wearing a big suit from Armani, will all take care of itself.
Yeah.
If you do your job properly, honestly, with dedication and truth, how can it do anything wrong? We've got all the tools in us already. Just be truthful.
Beautiful. If anyone wants to look more into your work, where can they find you?
Online.
Yeah. At Artist Mackenzie on Instagram. Brilliant chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you.
show.
I've enjoyed it. I really have.
Do you know someone who would benefit from listening to this episode? If you do, share it with them. This podcast literally wouldn't exist if it weren't for the paid subscribers over at creativerebels.substack.com and for the team at Joy Collective.